This video is about productivity and building habits. Now the things that I'm about to share literally saved a lot of my time, and it took me quite a while to break this down. And I can guarantee you that this will be the last video you need to watch about productivity. So, let's start. What is productivity? When I think about productivity, I think of three things: focus, consistency, and getting things done. First, let's talk about focus. There are two types of focus: scattered focus and directed focus. Scattered focus is more like a distributed focus, when you are trying to do multiple things at once, or you can say multitasking. And this is what most people do. They divide their attention towards many different things, leading to lack of concentration, laziness, and procrastination. Directed focus, on the other hand, is more like a concentrated focus, which means completely avoiding multitasking and focusing on one thing at a time. This is what you should aim to achieve, and it's also how highly successful people direct their focus. They concentrate on one task at a time, much like a laser beam, eventually reaching a point where work no longer feels like a work. In this phase, you kind of went into the deep work state, also known as the flow state. Now, to get into this flow state, there are two things you need to do. First, by removing distraction. I know it's very common, but it's the first thing you need to do to get into the flow state. Now, distraction can be anything, like watching too much videos, just like you're watching right now, or scrolling through social media, or hanging out with friends. I mean, anything that you think as a distraction, just remove it. Second, by simplifying your task. Now, there are two ways you can do it. First, by breaking your task into small pieces. This way, you will make your task more simple and achievable. And second, by using 80-20 rule. Now, don't be scared. It's not a mathematical equation, but more like a general principle, which states that 80% of all your results comes from 20% of your effort. And it's so true. For example, 80% of company's profit comes from 20% of its customers. This means instead of focusing on 100%, you just need to focus on 20% of the things that will give you maximum results. This means only giving priority to the things that are very important. And once you are all set, it's time to actually start working. Now, there are lots of proven methods to follow, like the 2 minutes rule or the 5 minutes rule. And we often get confused about which one to choose. But what worked for me is just to start. It's that simple. Don't wait for motivation, because most of the time, motivation will come while you're working. My point here is to break that initial resistance, because starting is hard, but continuing is easy. So once you do start, it's much more easier to keep on going. However, here's the problem that no one talks about. Many of you can relate to this. It's easy to start, and we all can be productive for maybe a couple of hours or days. But after a few days, the same thing will repeat. Procrastination, laziness. This means we lack consistency, which is our second point. Now, when I see consistency, I think of it more as a habit building process. And as you know, before you start building any habit, you need a clear goals. Goals can be anything from academic success to financial freedom. And to better understand, you should know about instant gratification and delayed gratification. Instant gratification is where you get instant dopamine or pleasure in a short period of time, but it gives you a long-term pain. Whereas delayed gratification takes time and is more like a long-term pleasure. So by having a long-term vision, being patient, taking regular steps, and by building mini habits, you can be more consistent. Now let's move on to our last point, which is getting things done. So how do you actually get things done? Number one, you can use Parkinson law. Parkinson law states that the work expands to fill the time available for its completion. If you give yourself 5 hours to complete a task, it will take 5 hours. If you give yourself a full day, it will take a full day. So by setting a shorter deadlines and challenging yourself, you can be more productive. Now, the last thing you need to get things done is by having a sense of urgency, by knowing that you have a limited amount of time. But there's also one major aspect a lot of people misses in terms of productivity. That is giving priority to their health and their lifestyle. Remember, a healthy man wants 1,000 things, but a sick man only wants one. So wake up early, go for a walk, eat healthy, stay hydrated, take enough breaks, and sleep on time. Give enough rest to your body because you are not a machine. I know you have goals, and goals can be anything from money, health, relationship, happiness, or maybe all of them. But remember, you don't get results by focusing on results. You get results by focusing on habits and behaviors that produces the results. In short, focus on the input, not the output. For example, I can only focus on making good videos, but getting more views and subscribers, these things are not under my control. So focus on the things that you can control and leave the rest. There will be moments in life when you don't see any results, but I want you to push yourself to work in that moment, because that's the exact moment when most of the people quit. So work on your project even though you don't feel like working, and know that at the end, every single step counts. You may not see it instantly, but the work is there. So don't expect too much and only focus on the things that you can control. You don't have to be perfect. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to fail, but don't make quitting an option. Make more mistakes and keep learning from them. Remember, doing something is way better than doing nothing.